For the most part, when we get triggered, we get angry, we get upset, we get sad, we get overwhelmed. We don't see the situation as being anything but painful. However, what if there was more to it? What if we could learn something from our triggers? What if our triggers were actually an opportunity? In today's video, I'm going to expose the opportunity we have by being triggered by another person. I know that sounds crazy, but there's actually an opportunity to learning more about ourselves, to creating more self-knowledge, and actually creating more unconditional love for ourselves, and also eliminating some of those painful arguments that we have in the closest of our relationships. Welcome back, friends. Ashley Berges today, and today I want to talk about the opportunities that we have behind being triggered. Okay, and it's interesting because when we are triggered, what usually happens, right? Well, things get a little out of hand, right? We can get angry, we can start arguing with the other person, we can yell, we can run out of the house, we can take off, we can walk down the street, whatever. There's a lot of things that happen when we're triggered. The problem, though, is that most of the time when we're triggered, nothing positive comes out of it, right? We find ourselves in the same situation. We might find ourselves in the same argumentation that we seem to have with our significant other more often than not. And it seems that what? Most of the time when we're triggered and we respond, nothing, absolutely nothing gets resolved. We can be triggered by so many different things. We can be triggered by something that we get in the mail. We can be triggered by something we see on the news. We can get triggered by usually someone that's closest to us, right? Family member, a close friend, or a significant other. And so the next time that we get triggered, how do we make the next time triggered in an argument? How do we make that into an opportunity instead of a pain point? And it's interesting because what I found is that more often than not, right, we just go into the cycle pattern of being triggered, arguing, defending, and then we just start all over again, right? And it happens the next day or the following week or whatever, but nothing really comes out of it. So let's start dissecting it real quick about what happens when we get triggered. Let's dissect the situation and understand how we can make changes and augmentations to turn this from a pain point into an opportunity. The first thing is when we get triggered, we get angry, right? We get offended. We get irritated. We get overwhelmed. Then what happens? Our heart races, right? Your heart's probably racing. The angers. You know, maybe you find yourself so angry it's hard to hold it back. Maybe you find yourself so overwhelmed with sadness that this other person doesn't understand you, that it's hard to hold back tears. Maybe you find yourself getting more and more angry to the point where you begin to yell. You feel like you need to defend yourself. And as you're yelling and saying your point of view, the other person's yelling and we're wrenching it up and we're wrenching it up and we're wrenching it up and nothing gets resolved. And then what happens? We repeat. Perhaps you might even have a significant other that follows you around the house. Perhaps you've even tried to leave, but it seems that they follow you around. But it doesn't seem like anything gets solved. And the same triggers are the same triggers. And it's almost like what we say when people know how to push our buttons, right? The button is a trigger, right? That's what it is. Somebody knows how to push your buttons, and they know them very well. So how do you stop someone from pushing your buttons? You got to get rid of the buttons. You got to get rid of the things that actually trigger you, right? Because otherwise there's nothing to trigger you by. So let's think about this instead of what just happened earlier. What do we do next? So when your significant other says something to you that triggers you, okay, what I've realized is that the first thing we have to do is actually take, when you're in like the same room with them, is to actually take a physical step backwards. Take a physical step away backwards from them, giving yourself some room. If they continue to get closer to you, continue to take a step back, okay? Because when somebody's yelling in your face, spittling on you, whatever, it's very stressful and it can trigger you very quickly, right? So we need to get a little space. And the greatest thing about being able to take that physical step back is it's going to help you remember everything that I'm saying right now. Because it's almost like take the step back and then we do the next piece, right? So after you've taken the step back, instead of just getting angry and overwhelmed, I want you to take some deep breaths in. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out, regulating. It's like any sort of stress in life. Like, you know, when you're about to jump on stage in front of how many people to speak or whatever you're supposed to do, when we focus on that stress, right, that's not going to help us. We need to focus on our breathing, okay? Even though this person might be saying some nasty things to you, even though they might be questioning you, the only way that we're going to get out of this in a positive way is to breathe really slowly in and out. You know, I've really realized that if I start breathing 5 to 6 breaths in and 5 to 6 breaths out, not only am I not really putting a lot of value into what they're saying, I'm also really focusing my energy internally, right? That actually creates more power within me. So I'm not giving all my power to that other person. It also allows me to actually hear clearly what this other person is saying, okay? I can hear it clearly what they're saying because I'm taking these breaths, right? And what I've realized is that once you actually hear what the other person is saying, a lot of times this has been something that's triggered you in the past. And a lot of times what they're saying really normally doesn't hold any significance. And so I've realized that instead of arguing, the best thing to do is to take that step back and take a break if possible. So what happens is that a lot of times when folks are triggering you, what they're wanting is they're wanting something from you. And see, when you get triggered to argue or fight, you're actually giving them the supply that they want. You're actually giving them what they want. And you're actually validating the problem. You see what I'm saying? You're validating the narrative that they've created in their own head about you. Okay? So, you know, it's interesting. It's like, let me give you an example real quick. I had an argument that took place about a year ago, and this person got in the elevator with me and just started yelling at me. It had nothing to do with me. The argument had nothing to do with me, okay? When the elevator's door opened, it took a while, and it was overwhelming, and they were in my face, and they were spitting on my face. It was horrible. By the time we got out, I got triggered, and I might have made a few choice words that I shouldn't have. And what happened is that I validated their narrative to treat me like that. Do you understand? So they already had in their head that I'm a mean person, that I deserve this wrath because they were trying to find a place to put it at, right? And by me getting triggered, unfortunately, I played into their narrative. And see, that's the problem here, is that you have somebody that's trying to bait you into triggering you, and then they get the rise out of you, and then they get the energy and the supply they want, and now you're just left angry, heart palpitations, stressed out. Nothing good comes out of it, right? Except for they got their supply. So why is it that we got to keep giving them what they want? I don't see how that works. See, the difference is in that elevator situation, if I could have kept my cool and taken a step back, which I never did, this person was right here. If I would have been able to take the step back as I could and continue to move as far back to the back of the elevator as possible, I would have been able to get some distance. Had the doors open and I said, hey, you know what? I wish you the best of luck. You're never going to speak to me like that again. And I hope that you can figure out where your anger is originating from, because it has nothing to do with me. Have a great day. Now, that would have totally ended everything. Because one, his narrative is BS. Two, what he did was completely wrong. And three, I never validated anything about it. So he's left there holding the bag with no supply. Okay, so what I'm saying is that when we're dealing with people that are very close to us, this can be very challenging. However, this can be the piece to the puzzle. It actually is the piece to the puzzle to end these fights. Now, we might end the fights and still see the problem in the relationship, right? But at least the person's not getting our supply. I've realized that sometimes also if the person continues and I'm not triggered, and I'm not triggered to yell or fight, I want to take a break. If they keep following me, that's going to be a problem, right? So if I want to get some air, hey, I'm not abandoning you, okay? But I'm going to walk outside and get some air, okay? And that's one of the biggest things, because I found that the patterns of these arguments are usually a series of power that the other person has over you, right? They're creating this power over you. And they're not going to stop unless you create another pathway. They're not going to stop until somebody takes the leadership role, because right now they've triggered you, they've taken the leadership role, and then you followed them down the primrose path, right? And I don't know about you, but I mean, my health and my heart and my stress level and my cortisol levels are very important to me, okay? And I don't want to give somebody the power to put me in an unhealthy situation. And that's what's happening here, because if you're getting triggered multiple times a week, the heart racing, the stress is actually breaking down your body, okay? And the sad thing is that they're getting supply, and while they're getting supply, you're just feeling really bad. And so think about it. When we're able to actually think about the opportunity that the trigger has, because why are they able to trigger me? What is it within me that's making me triggered to what they're telling me? What is it within me? Is it because I don't trust something? Is it because I don't believe in myself? What is it within me that makes me get triggered by this person and by what they're saying? Is it because I feel like I'm being baited on a constant basis? Is it because I'm really being beaten down in this relationship and I'm dealing with somebody that doesn't trust me anyway? And why am I continuing to walk down this path to try to prove myself when there is no validation and there is no proving point? And I think the biggest caveat is, why do I need to prove my value to this person? And why am I being triggered to do so when each time I'm being triggered to prove my value, I'm getting leveled each time. My energy is getting taken away and I'm giving someone else my supply. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. Please share this with your family and friends and anybody that you know is going through a situation like this, because knowledge is power and we need as much knowledge as we possibly can get to break cycle patterns in our relationships that are unhealthy for us and don't give back to us any sort of value. If you haven't already, check out the join button right there. You can click on that and learn about the options that you have when you become a member of my channel. And the coolest thing is we just added some great stuff for the Celebrity Perspective from Amazon Prime, so all of those shows are on there as well. In the comment section below, let me know. Have you been triggered? Have you used this technique? Have you discovered some information about yourself? Because to me, when I was triggered in an argument, I realized there was something within me that had to prove something to the other person. And why was that? So there was something that I had to repair within myself. And also I had to break the pattern with that person, because the arguments were not helping me to self-discovery. It was actually helping me to get more lost in the situation and not really seeing what was truly taking place. I hope this video has offered some clarity and understanding. And don't forget to live your true life.